Mr. Taylor last night?
Yes, I did.
They okay, you gotta have one.
I really don't have one.
I'll get you one later. Okay, with that, we're gonna go ahead and do introductions. Secretary.
Hi, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for that. I think it's good to be here in District 4. It's good to be here in Tucumcari, I think, because I consider Las Vegas in so many ways the District 4 seat like a second home. I feel unprepared because I'm very comfortable being here. So it's good to see everybody from District 4 here. And thank you, Tucumcari, for having us. I was here a couple months ago as part of my role in the Route 66 Coordinating Committee team. An effort to, along with other states from Chicago all the way into California, revive the Mother Road on its centennial birthday. So it's good to be back. I'll start with introductions of staff here. Going to the table, Lisa Vega in District 6, District Engineer, Javier Martinez, our Acting District Engineer in District 5, Adam Romero in District 4, Paul Brasher, already official in District 3, Francisco, good to have you back in the country, in District 2, and Aaron Chavarria in District 1. You all know Deputy Secretary Jessica Cooper. John, thank you for being here for Steve. And of course, Cindy Vigu with Federal Highway. Good group, and it's good to see everybody together again. In terms of some elected officials, I wanted to, let's see here. I don't know if we have. I have the public comment list, but any elected officials that signed up? We don't have a sheet with any on there, but I do want to recognize if others are here that we can. We have an elected official from afar and also the executive director of APA&M, and we have Dan Lewis, who is the president of the city council for City of Albuquerque. And while I'm doing that, his counterpart for AC&M is Jim Garcia, who's also here. As always, I'd like to recognize that Joey Simon, who's here from LFC, our analyst. And then I think as you move down the list, Mr. Chairman, you'll swoop in the other DOT staff in the room.
Okay. And I think that the reason that we don't have some elected officials here today is because the session was supposed to start today, and hopefully it starts today. And so I know a lot of people are up in Santa Fe. So with that, we'll go ahead and do the introduction from the commissioners. I'll start with you, Commissioner Tanges.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. Thanks. And I look out and I see that we have City Manager Chacon. Thank you very much for joining us last night. Appreciate that.
Thank you guys for having me.
My name is Gary Tanges. I represent District 2, Southeast New Mexico.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having us. It's great to get a chance to drive down I-40. My name is Charles Lundstrom. I live over in Grants, and I was visiting people in Gallup, so I got a chance to drive the whole Route 66 opposite, I guess. You know, we'll try to get that going. I know that Ricky talked about that a little bit. My counties are Cibola, McKinley, and Catron counties. Again, it's great to be here. Thank you for having us.
Good morning. My name is Thomas Taylor. I'm from Farmington. I'm the commissioner for District 5, which I call the Pistol District because it kind of looks like a Glock. San Juan, Rio Arriba, Santa Fe, Los Alamos, Torrance, I believe. Anyway, it's a long district that runs all the way south 540 in Torrance County. And I always like to tell people that my district, if I built a one-lane highway with the state highways in my district, it would go from Farmington to about 300 miles the other side of Berlin, Germany. To put it in perspective, how much pavement we have to take care of. Anyway, it's great to be here in Tucumcari. I don't think I've actually been in Tucumcari since the mid-'60s when I was here at a student council convention, so it's great to be back.
Wow.
And I'm Walter Adams, and I'm not only represent District 4, I am part of District 4. And I am so proud and blessed to have been part of District 4 where I worked alongside a lot of you. It's good to see now that there's a lot of young people. I met some this morning that are supervisors, and it's good to see that we have some young people that are going to carry the torch and continue to do good. I worked 27 years in District 4 before I moved on for 15 years up in Santa Fe. And I just want to say that I think not all over the state, it is that the NMDOT, there are no employees that are finer. There are no employees that are prepared to do whatever it takes at any given time. We sometimes, even when I was there and I was a supervisor, we would sit down and we would discuss some of the concerns, and money, salary's always been the main concern. We don't lose people because we're not a good organization. We lose people sometimes because people are doing what's in the best interest of their families, and sometimes that means going and getting some more money somewhere. But we'd be having conversations, and any time that we were called out to go to an emergency or at 2 o'clock in the morning and we're out during Christmas and snowstorms, everybody showed up and everybody did what they needed to do. And I applaud you on behalf of this commission for the work you do, and also for the employees all over the state that do the same thing that you do. You guys are a special group, and every organization, and you've heard me say this before, is only as good as its employees. And I searched far and wide to see if there was a better organization than us. We're here, we don't show up to work. We show up to make a difference, and that's a whole different thing. So, usually when we get to the part where your district engineer Adam is gonna speak, that's my part to speak, but I'd rather tell you in person. I'm not a good guy on the camera. I don't have a camera kind of face. So I'm gonna give you my spiel now. So I wanna thank the city of Tucumcari for hosting us. We appreciate being here. We appreciate this fine facility. And we want to thank, I think it was Fisher Sand and Gravel for the reception last night. Travis?
Yes, correct.
And the breakfast?
Associated.
Ah,
Associated.
okay, the Associated Contractors? Okay, thank you. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. And we just want to welcome everybody here to our meeting. And again, it's good to see a lot of faces here. Before we move on, if you could bear with me and we can do a moment of silence. Some of you remember Chris Montoya, worked out of District 4. I worked alongside him. He retired and he passed away this Saturday. And I'd also again want a moment of silence for our Admin Secretary Christine. Her husband just passed away. And on behalf of the NMDOTO family and on behalf of this commission, we want to send out our condolences and our prayers. Thank you. And with that, we're going to move on to public comment. Do we have anybody that wants to come up? And okay, we have Tony Wilson. Come on now. You're on The Price is Right.
Oh, hi. I hope there's a car involved. Good morning. My name's Tony Wilson, and I'm a concerned citizen in Tucumcari, and I've had the opportunity to meet several of you, and we're just trying to network and find out what the best things are for our roads in Tucumcari, our state roads, and we appreciate you being here and whatever we can do to be a part. We really appreciate Paula. She works tirelessly to make things happen in Tucumcari, and it's a very difficult, I mean, you guys all know, all the roads are bad, and we need all the help we can get. And we just want to say thank you to each of you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, and I think you had I just wanted to make a comment because I spoke with you earlier, and I think you were speaking about the sweeping and stuff of that nature. And we at DOT consider cities, counties, any entity, the communities, a partner. And we try to partner as much as we can, where we can. And so if there's ever something that DOT can help with and we're able to, put in a request, or go and you can call our district engineer, which is Adam Romero, and give him your concerns. The one thing here at DOT that our motto is accessibility and accountability. And so we get back to everybody, and we understand the concerns, but we do work sometimes with local entities depending on what the request is.
Great, we really appreciate that.
And we appreciate you being here, and we appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hold on.
The car.
The car. I do want to say something, because again, I mentioned earlier that the last time I was here a couple months ago, we were talking about, Route 66 and investments that I think are going to come from, the Fed government down. And if I can just have, especially all of our PIOs or our comms director in particularly, is I want to be sure that when we, I think part of the commission's, mission in having these meetings in different communities across the state is to really, one, get a sense of what our communities are facing by way of challenges and obstacles in infrastructure, but two is to express support, right, for those communities. And so I want to be sure that especially when we get out into some of the more rural parts of the state, that we make every effort to spend locally, and that includes the extent of which we could be staying in locally owned hotels and working with locally owned businesses for whatever accommodations we need for food service. So this is one of the, if not what's considered one of the first stops on Route 66 as far as food and lodging is concerned when you come in from Texas. And so we want to be sure that we support local communities in their endeavors to grow economically. And so I just want to make that point as we move across the state, that it's always easy to find the nearest, chain hotel and chain restaurant for the dozens of folks that we bring into town. But let's think a little bit more locally next time. And I want to apologize that I didn't have the foresight to do that before today's meeting.
Thank you very
It was
much.
about 80 years ago, part of my career, I was transferred up here to Tuncumcari, and I spent over a year here. And I used to, I think it's still standing, but they were going to I stayed at the Apache Hotel.
Oh,
Yeah.
the new owner of the Apache Hotel is right here.
So you're there. Well, I stayed there for a year. So that room I stayed in, I'll give you the number. You guys need to retire that one. But so I did have history here. That was when they were building the interchange. And then I also worked down in San Juan, and we used to commute back each day. So I've been part of this community, and I'm glad to see that we have a new owner, and thank you for coming up today.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Do we have anyone else that wants to come forward? As some of you have heard, speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, we will continue with the agenda. Adam, we will do the Employee Recognition Highway Hero Award. And when we get to there's a part where I let Travis know, and then we'll do pictures then, and we'll take a break. Welcome.
Welcome, Chairman Adams, fellow commissioners, Secretary Serna. Today, we'd like to recognize the highway heroes. And for District 4, we want to recognize the Clayton Patrol. This last winter we had a really bad blizzard up north, and we had US 6487 from Raton to Clayton shut down, and we also had US 56 shut down between I-25 and Clayton. And we had on US 56, in the middle of nowhere, we had several cars that were stranded. There were several families out there. There was a family that had a newborn baby, and they were stuck on the road. They couldn't move. Nobody could get to them. They even called me a few times. The family with the baby called me. They were frantic, and we told them we'd do everything we can to get to them. We assisted law enforcement in getting to those families. It took several hours. I mean, they were out there for 6-7 hours, but we were able to get, we took our plows, our employees went out there, we took equipment, and we led law enforcement, and we were able to get all those families out safely and back to Clayton. And at the end of the day, everybody was okay. And, but our guys, they did a really amazing job that day. They put their lives on the line going out there in those conditions. It was dangerous for them, but they did a great job, and they saved a lot of people on that day. And for that, we want to recognize the Clayton Patrol. The AMS is Scott Kirksey. The patrol supervisor is Phil Lucero, and I believe his crew is here with us today. If you guys could stand.
If you guys can stay standing. And I'd like for you guys to introduce yourselves so we know who you are.
John Herrera, Jared Wolford, Andrew Herrera,
Victor Daniel.
Eric Sena, Willie Martinez, Brandon Mira, Phil Lucero.
Thank you. On behalf of this commission, we want to commend you and thank you for your service and for the things that you are doing. And that's getting back to what I spoke of earlier. They're not getting paid extra to go out and do what they do. They do it because they care. They do it because they want to make a difference. And those people that are traveling the highways are not only our customers, but they're our families. We have our brothers out there, our cousins, our nephews, our sons, our daughters. And thank you for making that difference and sacrificing your lives to go out there and save somebody else's and be part of that. So on behalf of this commission, we want to thank you and commend you, and I think, don't they get a day leave, a day of admin leave? If not, we should talk to the secretary about getting it. Huh? Done. So, thank you, continue the good work, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We want to move on now to the NMDOT Transportation Commission Awards. Mike O'Leary.
Yes, sir.
Mike, it's good to see you again, and
Yes, sir.
welcome, and it's good to have you here.
It's great to be here, Commissioner. It's our honor to be here, and Commissioner and Commissioner Sena, or Secretary Sena, and all the Highway Department employees. What happened over the last year or so? There was two projects, especially two projects, that were very influential from the recycling thing, for sustainability, from the carbon footprint, from all that stuff. And the state did that, and they did a project on I-25 and on US 550, District 4 and District 5. And those projects were so outstanding that Roads and Bridges magazine sponsored an award for that, and that award was given in Florida back in February. But nobody from the state of New Mexico even really knew that happened. And I just, as a group of us, and as people from ARRA and Ingevity, the people that helped do that, Sinclair, Holly Frontier, Sinclair, Fisher Sand and Gravel, which did the two projects. It's just an excellent project, and it really shows that how we can put together projects that are so integral to doing the right thing in our highway system, because we're using 100% of the recycled material and pavements that were there and stabilizing those things, and then putting a new surface on top of that. And we do that, and we end up eliminating about 80% of the carbon footprint of that project. And in the future, that is something that we really need to think about, is how that we do that, because Highway Department and FHWA, we own a lot of these things in these roads, and be able to use them as 100% to help build a better road and a longer lasting road. Not only were these two projects done, but we started off with one on 285 in District 2 for 11 miles. Lisa did one on US 60, and numerous full depth reclamation jobs have been around the state. But these two jobs stood out to get an award. And we're so proud to be able to give that award to District 4 and District 5 and all the state of New Mexico, because we really think it's just the right thing to do. And there's several of us here that kind of represent that. Dr. Everett Cruz is here in the back, and he works with sustainability things and EPDs and the things that we're going to have to deal with in the future. And we think it's really important, and I think that the state of New Mexico did these projects, and these projects were very influential towards doing the green thing from pavements and doing the thing from environmental issues and being able to construct these things in a way that is such the right thing to do with our pavements. And those jobs are showing that the progress and the quality and how the highway department put the specs together and how they've done that and how we've used a lot of people in this industry to come in and do those jobs the right way. So with that, I have a colleague, John Morgan, which is with Ingevity, and he's going to come up and we're going to present these plaques that actually were supposed to be presented to you back in February, but nobody had, well, you were in session, so there was not a way for anybody to break loose to come to that things, but we thought we needed to bring these awards to the state of New Mexico here. Roads and Bridges wrote an article in here, and I have several copies of this article, which talks about the job on I-25, because it was done cold in situ recycle, and it wasn't just a mill and fill. By calculations with some of your people in the DOT, it saved $1.6 million on that project to do it that way versus what the other. And not only did it save money, but it built a better road. So I have a few copies of this, and I hope you guys want those. And with that, I'll introduce John Morgan that actually will present these things. And I think we'll present them to each of the district engineers, if that's all right.
Yes.
Is that correct? Will you want to do that?
You go ahead.
Go ahead. I love that. John.
Thank you, Mike. It's a real honor to be here today. Thank you for having us. As Mike said, I'm John Morgan. I've been in the asphalt emulsion industry now for about 29 years. I'm employed by Ingevity, based in Charleston, South Carolina. But today, you know, it's been a lot of fun over my career manufacturing these emulsions, and then helping the industry and the agencies, you know, utilize these emulsions in sustainability applications and you know, economical applications to help maintain these roads in a way that is beneficial for the motoring public. So, but today I'm not here representing Ingevity. Today I'm here representing ERA, and it's a great honor to be here representing ERA. ERA is the Asphalt Recycling and Reclaiming Association, for those of you that aren't familiar with it. I'm a board member of ERA. I've been, this is my second year as being a board member. I've been involved in various committees over the last couple of years, and was given an opportunity to become a board member. And after a lot of consideration and thought to make sure it was the right thing for me personally and my family and the industry, I accepted that because I'm so excited and passionate about the technologies that ERA represents. They do a great job of helping promote and support you know, the sustainability opportunities for our industry. So I had invited a colleague of mine, Dan Shellhammer, who is a contractor, to come and help present and represent ERA. Unfortunately, he was unable to attend. Something about construction season. I'm sure none of you gentlemen and ladies in the room know anything about that this time of year, so everybody's wide open and trying to get things done. Everything has a shelf life, if you will, with winter quickly approaching, it seems, even though it's 100 degrees outside. So, but as I said, I'm really passionate about all of this, and it's been a pleasure and a joy to be a part of it. And I'm looking forward to what ERA and the industry will be able to accomplish together to continue to build on these successes that we're here to acknowledge today and award. So, ERA primarily focuses its efforts on several different areas: cold planing, which many of you know is milling. They do soil stabilization, recycling, and they also do reclamation. And the two awards that we're going to represent today, or award today, cold in place recycling, which is a shallower application, which was done on I-25. And we're also going to represent or award a project on US 550, which is full depth reclamation. So it's a deeper application of a similar recycling process. So two of the things that ERA has been working on that I feel very passionate about and have been, I think will be instrumental for the industry to move forward as a whole and have us all achieve some of the goals that are being asked of us. One of which is the development of an EPD tool. So environmental product declarations kind of govern, it's the food label, if you will, for our pavements. And so, you know, you can pick up an item from a grocery store and kind of read the label on the back side of it and understand all about these pavements. Well, we're working towards that initiative, if you will, for pavements. And it'll become part of the bidding process, it seems, in the future. And so the other thing that ERA has invested a lot of time in is developing a free resource to help educate engineers and network managers, if you will, about the opportunities that are out there to maintain these pavements. And it's a resource called roadresource.org, O-R-G. And you know, that one you can sign up for, you know, go out there and learn about the different pavement opportunities that are out there to maintain and rebuild and construct these pavements in such a way that, you know, we can all be, I guess, very respectful and resourceful in terms of the dollars that we're given, because we don't have an unlimited supply of that, and so it's important that, you know, we stretch the dollar as far as we can and to maintain as many road miles as we possibly can every year. So every time I have an opportunity to attend one of these projects, quite honestly, I'm truly blown away. They are absolutely incredible to watch the equipment going down the road, recycling pavements in place, compacting them, putting them right back down in front of you, virtually, you know, right there in front of your very eyes. And it's just absolutely amazing to me. I walk away from these projects, and my first thought in my mind is, why aren't we doing more of these? You know, how come they're not being utilized in a greater potential? And you know, the opportunity, the sky's the limit, so to speak. They truly are very, very unique processes. And, you know, our infrastructure is truly an economic driving component for, you know, our economy. Every year, the GDP in this country is $28 trillion. Without that infrastructure in place, it would not be possible. And so, you know, it's part of everything that we all do, our EMS support, our school systems, getting our, you know, food, clothing, you know, everything is our way of life. And so that investment that, you know, you gentlemen and the DOT, you know, all help maintain and sustain is absolutely critical. So it's no easy task, as you all know, and it requires some of the best engineers in the world to make that happen. They have to utilize every tool in their toolbox to make that happen. So obviously that's precisely why I'm here to recognize the New Mexico DOT for for these projects, and their leadership, their vision, and their courage, you might say, for going out there and being willing to design and implement a strategy that is not widely used. It's widely known, but it's not widely used. And so there's a great track record on all of these technologies. But we still have a long way to go to make sure that everybody is aware of it and they're fully employing these technologies. As Mike pointed out, the 2024 Roads and Bridges Awards and the Asphalt Recycling Reclaiming Association, ERA, they've come together to nominate and award 2 separate New Mexico DOT projects. I was also optimistic that Ryan Curtis, the editor of the article that Mike referenced, was going to be able to be here, but he too could not attend, and he sends his apologies and regards to everyone. So without further ado, I did want to recognize and present plaques to the New Mexico DOT for the US 550 FDR project, the Full Depth Reclamation Project in District 5, just outside of Aztec, New Mexico. And I would also like to recognize and present plaques to the New Mexico DOT for the for the I-25 Cold in Place Recycling Project, CIR, in the project in District 4, just outside of Glorieta, New Mexico. We have plaques for the general office, the district office, and the project office. And as you mentioned earlier, we'd like to take some pictures afterwards to make sure that we share it with ERA membership and for the great work that's being done here in the state of New Mexico. Rick, should we present these now? So this is the US 550 Full Depth Reclamation Award. Yep. Congratulations, sir. Thank you. And this is the I-25 Cold in Place Recycling Award. Congratulations. Thank you. Here.
Sure.
Yep, thank you. Great work, gentlemen. And the other aspect of this that I did want to take an opportunity to mention, none of these projects are done without a team. And of course, you have to have all the engineering work and all the specifications put in place, which all of that burden and responsibility lands upon the shoulders of the DOT. But we also have to have quality contractors and quality suppliers to make this happen. So I also want to recognize the construction company, Fisher Sand and Gravel, New Mexico, who worked really hard and tirelessly to make this job happen. And I also want to recognize H.F. Sinclair for their work to supply the emulsions utilized on these projects. So, thank you very much for your time.
On behalf of the commission, we would like to thank you for taking the time out to come here and recognize these fine projects. And that means a lot because that goes to show the quality and the effort that is put out there each and every day. So thank you for coming here today. It's just like our employees. We always try to reach out and say thank you. And this is a big thank you for the employees that were on that project and for everybody that was involved in the project. So thank you for taking the time to come and recognize the fine work.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, if we could maybe after the district presentation, we could take some formal pictures with the commission, of course, and with the district engineers, and of course, John and Mike O'Leary, if they'd come up with us and take some more formal pictures at that time, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, we're gonna do that in about 3 or 4 letters from
Yep.
now, when we do the heroes and all that, and we'll do that one.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Okay.
you got it.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. With that, we're gonna go on to the District 4 update. Adam. While you're getting up here, Adam, before you start your presentation, I just want to, as the Commissioner of District 4, I just want to thank you for a job well done. I think that you've been doing great. I want to thank you for the morale. I want to thank you for the effort that's being exhibited down there. And I want to thank you for all the updates that you keep me updated on. That's really appreciated. And that way, when I start getting calls, I already know what's happened. So I just want to commend you for, you've been there a very short time, and I've seen a big difference, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you for those kind words, Chairman Adams. Chairman Adams, Secretary Serna, fellow commissioners, welcome to Tucumcari. I'd like to thank the city of Tucumcari for hosting us today. And we had a really nice reception last night. The mayor was there. He couldn't be here today, but I know we have the city manager, Paula Chacon. She's here somewhere. Hi, Paula.
On behalf of the commission, thank you, Paula, for last night. Let the mayor know also. And I apologize that I couldn't make it. I had some business that's looming today, so I apologize for that. But there's always next time.
First of all, I'd like to recognize the employees from District 4. We have some amazing employees here. They take ownership of this district. They live in the district, so they have families that travel these roads. They're very dedicated employees. We have a lot of employees here today from this area, from the southern portion of the district, from the surrounding patrols around the Tucumcari area, and we have some construction. Unfortunately, all our employees couldn't be here today. We have a lot of work going on. It's peak construction season, and we got a lot of maintenance we have to do out there, mowing, patching. We have a lot of work going on, but we do have quite a few employees from the area, and I know we'll go around and we'll have everybody introduce themselves. But before that, I would like to introduce my executive staff there, District 4. We have four program managers. Go ahead.
Adam, I didn't even recognize them this morning. I saw them back there, and they looked like they were going to the prom.
Yeah.
So there you have them stand up.
If you guys could stand, Arthur A.J. Romero, he's our Assistant District Engineer over our engineering section. Christopher Udioste, he's our Assistant District Engineer over our construction program. Gabriel Lucero, he's our Assistant District Engineer over our maintenance program. We got Lawrence Martinez, he's our Business Manager. And I'd also like to recognize my Administrative Assistant, Rebecca Martinez. And last but not least, our PIO, Travis Martinez.
I also want to thank Travis, because I know he put a lot of this together, and I know you've been going through some stuff yourself, and so I want to thank you for, organizing. And while I'm thanking, before I forget, I want to thank our IT staff that comes in and sets up all the guys that are sitting over there on the table, because they're part of this team that comes in a day before, and this is a big operation. It just doesn't happen. We get to just walk in and sit up here. These are the guys that make us and make everybody else heard and seen. And so for that, and for that video that you guys showed, thank you. And thank you, Christine, for the job that you did. I know you have to put up with me a lot, so thank you for bearing with me sometimes. And I'll let you continue.
And as far as our program managers, I just want to state these guys are awesome employees. They take ownership of the programs. They make my life so easy. They work well together. We meet and we discuss things, and we work well together. So I do want to thank you guys, program managers, for everything you guys do for the district. You guys are awesome. I think I have the best set of program managers in the state. I'll put my program managers up against any other district. So anyway, Chairman, would you like to have our employees introduce themselves at this time?
Hey, the reason that we have employees come here is because we want them to introduce themselves, and this commission wants to tell them, thank you for a job well done. And so there's a lot of you that I knew before I left, and there's some of you that I've never seen. So I'd like to give the introductions. That way, if I see them at Walmart, I can give them a, what's up?
Yes, yes, we have a lot of new employees. It seems like our employees get younger, but maybe it's that I'm getting older. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But if D4 employees, if you guys could stand up, and we'll go around the room, and if you could introduce yourself, and then you could sit down as you introduce yourself. But let's all stand up. We can start on this side with Pat.
Erickson, operator, claim control. Willie Martinez, 8, claim control. Brandon Mira, operator, claim control.
Phil Lucero, supervisor for the claim control.
Benny Sena, supervisor for board control.
Chico Price, operator, road control. Operator Gunn, road control. Robert Cruz, advanced road control. Ethan Gutierrez, advanced road control.
Ron Gillespie, operator, road control. Emilio Allen, operator, road control.
Jimmy Smith, road control. Gabriel Lucero, medium center. Lucero, state construction engineer. EJ Olero, engineering support manager. Lawrence Martinez, business manager. Matthew Ulibarri, AMS. Lee Thomas, project manager. Carlos Martinez, advanced. Scott Herty, ALS, hydraulic controls.
Monica Duran, Algeria coordinator.
Professor Juan before construction.
Maria Montoya, HR manager.
Rebecca Martinez, admin assistant to DE admin level.
Present Rosemary, graduate engineering major.
Jocelyn Ramirez, admin engineer.
Augustine Rivero, district lab.
Irene Romero, finance supervisor. Angela Martinez, finance. Teresa Grego, finance.
Joseph Quintana, project manager, Santa Rosa Project Office. Williams, you want to Joe Garrett, secretary project office.
I think that's everybody.
Joe, I do know. We've had some experience. Hey, to me, it's a good thing. I don't know about you.
Thank you, District 4 employees, for a job well done. So now we're going to have a test for the commission. We're going to have random employees from District 4 stand up, and you got to give us their name. I'm just kidding. I would probably fail it myself. So. But yeah, we do have a lot of new employees. Recently, our vacancy rate has gone down considerably. We're 6-7%. We're the best we've been in many, many years. There's lots of people that are wanting to come work for us in District 4. It's a great place to work. Salaries have gone up, and we're seeing lists of people applying for jobs. In the past, there were some jobs that nobody would apply for, and now our lists are starting to grow. Things are getting better for us. Chairman Adams, Secretary Serna, my supervisor Rick Padilla, I just want to thank you guys for all your support, everything you guys do for District 4. It's always nice to be, we're a good team. We have good partnerships. It's always, it's good to have a knowledgeable people that I could talk to. I appreciate everything you guys do for District 4. Chairman Adams, I've been district engineer for the last year. We have a great partnership. Me and you talk a couple of times a week. We talk about a lot of stuff. I really appreciate all the support. You always support the employees at District 4. I know you're always looking out for them, whether it be salaries or any kind of appreciation. Anytime we have events, You're always there to support them when we meet at the district. You go around and you talk to the employees, and that doesn't go unnoticed. We do appreciate that. One thing that I enjoy over the last year working with you is that you have lots of experience and you understand what we go through day in and day out, and that's really helpful for me and for my staff at D4. You're very knowledgeable. That experience really speaks tons. I know I could talk to you. Sometimes we have discussions, and sometimes we discuss different things, and you're always there to give me reassurance on a lot of stuff, and for that I appreciate everything you do for District 4 and for myself.
Thank you, and thank you for your leadership, because it takes leadership to run a district, and we have great leaders at this table and all through this room. And so this commission is, again, I'm gonna use the word blessed, to have such capable individuals and such caring individuals throughout the state of New Mexico and up in District 4. And you said that you really appreciate it. As my dad used to say, don't tell me, show me, Christmas is coming up. So, you know, just kidding, just kidding.
Okay. Well, with that, why don't we start the presentation?
Good morning. I'm Adam Romero. I'm the District 4 engineer, and I want to welcome everybody to the commission meeting being held in Tucumcari, New Mexico. Chairman Adams, Cabinet Secretary Serna, and fellow commission members, NMDOT employees, City of Tucumcari, thank you for attending today. District 4 consists of 7 counties. We have Colfax, Union, Harding, Mora, San Miguel, Guadalupe, and Quay counties, and our district office is located in Las Vegas, New Mexico. I'm the district engineer. I'm working on my 22nd year with NMDOT District 4. Our commissioner is Chairman Walter Adams, and we are proud to have him as our commissioner here in District 4. I have a great working relationship with Chairman Adams. Chairman Adams worked for NMDOT for many years and has a lot of knowledge of how things operate within the NMDOT, and that makes things easier for everyone. District 4's fiscal year 24 budget was approximately $29 million. District 4 has 313 full-time employees. As stated earlier, we have 7 counties, we have 20 municipalities, 4 legislative districts. The district office is located in Las Vegas, New Mexico. Also, the district consists of 16 maintenance patrols, 5 project offices, 4 traveling or special crews, 4 ports of entry, 6 rest areas, and we maintain over 3,100 centerline miles, 595 of those being interstate and 480 of those miles being U.S. highways. Now, I'd like to introduce our executive staff. Our District 4 maintenance engineer is Gabriel Lucero. Our construction engineer is Chris Urioste. And our engineering support manager is Arthur Romero. Our business manager is Lawrence Martinez. We have some great program managers here in District 4. These 4 individuals make an awesome team. They always work well together, and they make my life easy. So now I'd like to recognize our construction section. Our PM2 is Andres Urban. We have 5 project offices located in Las Vegas, Raton, Tucumcari, Santa Rosa, and Clayton. We also have an audit section, and we have a district lab. I'd also like to acknowledge our maintenance program. Starting in the north, our maintenance supervisor is Scott Kirksey. The north consists of 5 patrols. They are Roy, Raton, Springer, Des Moines, and Clayton. In the central part of the district, our area maintenance supervisor is Pat Gallegos. Pat also has 5 patrols: Las Vegas, Ro, Eagle Nest, La Cueva, and Wagon Mount. Now on to the south portion of the district. Our area maintenance supervisor is Matthew Ulibarri. He oversees 6 patrols. They are located in Tucumcari, Santa Rosa, Ragland, San Juan, Narra Vista, and Trementina. And now on to our bridge and special crews. Our AMS over our special crews is Casey Encinas. The crews consist of the chip seal crew, the heavy maintenance crew, we have the rest area crew. We also have a bridge crew that Clyde Sanchez oversees. Now we are going to move on to our engineering section. Our traffic engineer is Veronica Lovato Lerma, and we also have a design section and a survey section. Business support. Our business manager, Lawrence Martinez, and our district administrator, Gabby Olivas, support 8 sections. These sections consist of our finance section, our equipment section, buildings and ground, district store, purchasing, the district shop, safety, and human resources. In the office of the district engineer, the DE's executive assistant is Rebecca Martinez, and our public information officer is Travis Martinez. And now, moving on to our construction program, we are going to go over some of our major completed construction projects. New Mexico 39 Phase 1 was a roadway rehab at a cost of $22.6 million. This project is complete and it came out very nice. The people in that area are very happy with this new roadway. Next is New Mexico 434 Coyote Creek Phase 2. This project has been completed at a cost of $20.6 million. This canyon, it was very narrow. Now we have a much wider roadway. It's much safer. We have not completed the corridor yet. We are currently working on Phase 3, and in the future we'll have a Phase 4. The next project that we completed, it is in Tucumcari. It is the US 54 Phase 1 and Phase 2. We did roadway reconstruction, roadway rehabilitation, lighting and signalization at a cost of $14.8 million. This project also came out very nice, and I know the locals appreciate the work we did out there. Another project that we completed is north of Tucumcari. We constructed turning lanes at the junction of US 54 and Quay Road. There were safety concerns out here, and this project has made this stretch of highway much safer. The cost of this project was approximately $1.7 million. Now we have some completed and ongoing projects. These projects all combined for a total of about $124 million. We have completed projects on US 54, on New Mexico 39, and New Mexico 434. Some of our ongoing projects that we have going on right now are on Interstate 40. We have 2, and we have 1 on I-25. These are all large projects. The 2 projects on I-40 combined for about $35 million. We have some upcoming projects. On New Mexico 104, we have 3 bridges that are approaching the end of their service life. These projects are currently in the design phase. Next, we have a bridge over I-40 in Newkirk. This bridge was struck by an oversized load. An excavator hit this bridge and caused extensive damage. This project is currently under construction. Now, I'd like to discuss some future projects in development. We will have 2 future studies. One is going to be for US 54 from Tucumcari to the Texas state line. We have some safety concerns out here, so we're going to be studying this stretch of roadway to see if we need additional capacity due to the high volume of commercial traffic. The next study we're looking at is the Raton I-25 US 64 interchange. This interchange is outdated and we want to bring it up to the current standards. Future projects that we have in the design phase include 6 projects along the I-40 corridor. These projects total $121.7 million. Due to the high volume of commercial traffic on I-40, we are continuously investing funding into this corridor. To touch on legislative funding for fiscal year 25, the district received $15 million in capital outlay and $18.5 million in House Bill 2 funding. This funding will be used for various projects throughout the district. Next, we are going to discuss District 4's statewide transportation improvement program. In the year 2024, we have 9 projects for about $81 million. In 25, we have 12 projects for about $108 million. And in fiscal year 26, we have 6 projects for $103 million. And in 27, currently we have 3 projects for $42 million. I'm sure that number will increase in 2027 as we get closer to that year. On to our maintenance operations. In addition to 261,000 lane miles of snow removal, our maintenance personnel also perform many other tasks, from guardrail repair to fence repair to mowing, patching, erosion repair, and everything else they do, which are all essential to maintenance operations. Our bridge crew did some sidewalk repairs in Raton, New Mexico. We had a lot of damaged sidewalk out there, and they brought it up to ADA standards, and they made these sidewalks a lot safer for the pedestrians in this area. Our Tucumcari Patrol employees and our heavy maintenance crew did some box culvert repairs on US 54 in Tucumcari. Last year, we had a major flood that caused some issues on our new project. We got with the contractor, and he gave us an estimate of approximately $1 million to perform these repairs. Our crews went in and repaired it at a cost of $50,000. One thing we had to deal with last year in Santa Rosa on New Mexico 91, just past the school, we had a timber bridge that was burned down. Our heavy maintenance crew and our Santa Rosa patrol have worked to build a temporary crossing. This crossing will stay in place until a new bridge structure can be built. I'd like to talk about our contract maintenance in District 4. For the last year, we completed $21 million worth of projects. From guardrail repair to mill and inlays to crack sealing to fog sealing. We had a lot of work that we performed last year. This work was spread out through District 4. Our District 4 chip seal crew were runners-up this year at the State Pavement Preservation Conference. Our crew performed chip seal operations on 7 roadways, which consisted of about 200 lane miles. This crew always steps it up and are always willing to help out wherever needed. They help the other patrols in all their daily operations when they are not out there doing their chip seal operations. I'd like to talk about some facility improvements going on at the district. We do have a new Raton project office that was completed this year. The old facility was outdated, and now we have a much more modern office for these employees. We are also in the design phase of new wash bays at the Las Vegas Patrol. This wash bay is important because it helps prolong the life of our equipment, and it also helps minimize environmental impacts. We are also doing some district facility improvements at our rest areas. In Fort Union, we are currently designing a new wastewater and water treatment system, and in Anton Chico, we will be designing a new water system. Next, in District 4, we have IT improvements. Our staff have done many network improvements throughout the district. This has helped improve our internet speeds at our patrols and project offices, especially the rural areas. This is important for communication and record keeping. We also have assisted at the port of entry in Raton. We helped install data and phone lines at this location. Now, onto our local government road fund. In fiscal year 24, the district had a total of $5.3 million. These were spread out throughout the different entities within the district. They were divided into capital outlay, co-op funding, school bus routes, school districts, municipalities, municipal arterials, and universities. This is $5.3 million well spent. In fiscal year 24, our transportation project fund consisted of approximately $17 million. This funding was used for a total of 15 total projects, with 3 of those being within Quay County. As for fiscal year 25, we are currently in the approval process. We have approximately $9 million for approximately 13 projects at this time, but everything has to be finalized. Now, let's go to employee recognition. It's one of the most important parts of NMDOT. In 2023, the Roy Patrol was recognized as Patrol of the Year in District 4. Roy Patrol does an outstanding job, from bookkeeping to road maintenance to snow removal. These guys are always ready to respond, and they work well together. The Roy Patrol Supervisor is Benny Sena. Benny lives in the area and takes great pride in maintaining his roads.
We're here for the traveling public, basically, and we try to do our job at the best. Sometimes, you can't please everybody, but all you do, as long as you try your best and you give it your all the time, that's all you can do.
We are happy to give out a Highway Hero Award to the Clayton Patrol. Last year, during a major winter storm, we had blizzard conditions on US 56 and the road was shut down. Law enforcement contacted the Clayton Patrol to assist in clearing a path along US 56 to help stranded motorists. The crew was quick to respond when help was needed, and they were successful in this task. Our team of the year is the purchasing section. Last year, we had a lot of vacancies, and this section really had to step up to make sure all critical tasks were met. They did a great job using teamwork, communication, and accountability. I would like to congratulate them on a job well done.
We deal with the other 3 sections that are involved, from maintenance, construction, engineering, and business support. These guys deal with all aspects of them. I have wonderful staff. My staff is fantastic, and never has there been a doubt in my mind that these guys can't outperform anything, especially now with the end of the fiscal year approaching rapidly. Everything's in check, all our checks and balances are adding up. We just had end of the year inventory. Our numbers were fantastic, so they're just great. They're great all around, and they're go-getters. assertive, and they get stuff done.
Our Employee of the Year for District 4 is Mrs. Rebecca Martinez. Rebecca is my administrative assistant. Rebecca is the person who keeps me in check. She is always willing to help throughout the district. Anyone who comes in and needs assistance, Rebecca is there to help, whether it be cover the front desk or help the equipment section with reports. She always assists everyone with a smile on her face, and I am very lucky to have her assisting me here in the district.
It's great that I have a great working environment with all my coworkers, especially the guys out on the patrol. I feel that they can come to me with anything if it's just to enter simple time for them. If I can go out to the patrols to help them, I'm here to help them with anything, and they trust me. That's what I say, is I'm here to support each and everybody here. And the only thing I can't do is plow snow.
Gabriel Lucero is District 4's Supervisor of the Year. During the last year, Gabe took on many additional duties. He was both the maintenance engineer and he was also the acting engineering support manager. He's a future district engineer. He has a lot of institutional knowledge and is always willing to help anyone in this district. I really enjoy working with Gabe. He is a great guy.
I think for me, I'm not one to stand up, point fingers, and kind of delegate orders. I mean, I'm really just like to step back and support my my people as best I can in any way I can. So really just kind of listen to them, what their needs are, and give them the best support that I can.
Unfortunately, we had one tremendous loss this year. We lost one of our employees. Celeste Ibarra was an employee at District 4 for the last 6 years. She started in our accounting section and then promoted into our human resource section, where she was a payroll specialist. Celeste was 38 years old. She is survived by her daughter, Alicia, and she is also survived by her partner, Travis Martinez. Travis was a great partner to Celeste, always there for her. Travis was even there up to the last moments of her life. What I remember of Celeste is that she loved the holidays. She was always ready to decorate her office or decorate her door. These times made her really happy. She always volunteered to help. For our equipment rodeo, she dedicated herself to the kitty corner. She loved to bake. One thing I always will remember about Celeste is that she brought such delicious baked goods, and she was always willing to share with everybody. 2 years ago, Celeste was the Employee of the Year for District 4. She was a dedicated and kind employee.
I was the training and development. I took care of the trainings for the maintenance crews. So training academy, I did a lot of stuff with that. So they needed to bring payroll into HR because it was actually with the finance department. So they brought it into HR and they gave it to me. So then I just took over.
This is a great loss to the district, and her presence will be missed. Rest in peace, Celeste. I have been the District 4 engineer for the past year, and I am very proud to work with the employees of District 4. From our business section, to our maintenance section, to our construction folks, to our engineering section, our employees are amazing employees. They take ownership of their sections and they do a great job, and they're always ready and willing to respond. Whether it be fires, floods, or whatever comes our way, our employees are always there to make sure that our roads are safe for the traveling public and also that our communities are safe. Thank you.
Real quick, Adam, I just want to say that we did a moment of silence for Celeste at our last meeting, and she is going to be a big loss. Over here, we work with each other each and every day, and that's why I always call it the NMDOT family. No matter if you're retired or you're still here or past, the people around you, you attend birthday parties, first communions. I mean, it's a family, and you spend more time with the people here at work sometimes than you do with your immediate family. So she will be a big loss. Every time that I saw her, she had a smile on her face. She was very friendly. And now I want to make another comment with Gabe. Gable, who was in the supervisor of the year, I worked with his mom many years ago, and she was a great employee too, and she retired from DOT. And that's what we talk about, generation after generation after generation, families that continue to make this organization great. So congratulations to everybody that was recognized on that video. Congratulations to District 4 as a whole for the wonderful work you do, and I've said it, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it tomorrow, and I'll say it next week, because I never get tired of saying that we have the best employees anywhere. So with that, Adam, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. And with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Commissioners? Thank you.
Thank you. One last thing, Miguel, thank you for that presentation. You and Travis, you guys did a great job. I hadn't seen it till now. It was even a tearjerker, but thank you very much. I appreciate everything.
Thank you. We'll move on now to Secretary Serna.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to start off by kind of just dovetailing on the presentation that took place earlier for District 4 and District 5. And I want to recognize Sean Hammer. Sean Hammer is here. I'd like for him to stand. And for those of you that know, Sean is the president of ACNM. More importantly, today was the contractor on both the projects that District 4 and 5 were recognized for earlier. And so, as was mentioned during the presentation, you know, this doesn't always, or it doesn't fall entirely on our shoulders. We have partnerships with ACNM, with our contractors that do this work. So, Sean, Mr. Santagravel, I want to thank you guys. This award, we share it with you for your work. Appreciate it.
And on behalf of the commission, thank you.
Just a few things. In case you didn't hear, I placed 6 out of 12 at the rodeo in District 5 for backhoe operations, and so, which is way better than what I did at state a year ago. So all I can say is I'm coming for everybody at the state fair, and so I just wanted to put that out there, Mr. Chairman. If you want to see me at least get fifth place. I'm shooting for 5th place at least.
What I want to know is that the judges that Judge Duda takes, what place did you take?
Let's just put it this way.
They all got a day of admin leave.
There's a lot of people in District 5 with a lot of administrative leave right now. But I'll tell you this, I really pushed the envelope with getting extra time, but it wasn't enough to beat, I think, a 10-year-old, 12-year-old. But we had a 12-year-old who joined the VIP competition in District 5, and you know, he was 3 and I was 6, and so obviously I have a ways to go. But I just wanted to share that as a means of telling you all that we are in the season of rodeos across the state. And so we'll make sure that we get you guys, if you don't already have the calendar updates to all of those. And of course, that leads into, before the state fair starts, right, the state rodeo in Albuquerque. So hopefully, if we haven't already done so in your district, please, you know, make it a point to attend the rodeos. District 4 is coming up as well too.
That's my home turf.
Yep, that's right. And then we got 4 and 1 coming up as well. No, 1 already took place. 3. All right. So let me just start off by a few things, and then I just want you all to know I'm going to hand off a portion of my director's or secretary's report to Christine Mihalsik, who is our comms director, and she's going to give you all an update, a presentation on what we've been doing in that area. One of the things that I'm really excited to share is about months ago, the State Personnel Office approved a change to the salary schedule that's used to pay all of our employees who sit within the engineering salary schedule. And what they essentially did is a study that shows how competitive the state of New Mexico is relative to the private sector, or the private and public sector, in those like positions, you know, in this region of the country. And what they basically did was they reintroduced a salary schedule that ideally would make agencies like DOT and Environment, who use the engineering positions, more competitive with the private sector. And we were really excited about that. Recently they did likewise with the attorneys. But the challenge is just because they scoot the salary schedule doesn't automatically mean that all of our engineers were going to make more money. And so it was incumbent upon us at DOT to figure out, how do we leverage this new competitive salary schedule? to increase our recruitment and retention of those individuals who are either licensed engineers or work in an engineer classification. And so we waited for Mallory to go on leave, and then Jessica and I really went to work on funding pay increases for our engineers. And so the DOT just made what we estimate to be a $4 million investment in hundreds of employees who are paid through the engineering salary schedule. And as you all know, the legislature appropriated a 3% pay increase for all non-probationary employees. But what we did on top of that 3%, actually, I'm going to say this, what we did before the 3% was we issued those employees in the engineering salary schedule a 10% pay increase, so that their 3% pay increase would come in on top of that. And what we wanted to do to recognize the value of their roles at the Department of Transportation is we leveraged that pay scale to essentially get our district engineers to the absolute maximum dollar and cent amount that they can be paid underneath that new salary schedule. And so we hope that if you work in the space of engineering techs, project managers, construction techs, and licensed engineers, including internship engineers at DOT, that you understand how valuable you are, and that we're going to make every effort to show you that through compensation. So I'm hopeful, commissioners, that this investment in this group of individuals is going to further help our retention efforts. And so I want to recognize Mallory, I want to recognize Jessica Cooper for the work that they've done to make this investment in these employees possible, and recognize them with a round of applause, because it really is a big deal. On that note, about a month ago, you all got sent a press release that we issued, kind of bolstering what we've been able to do by way of recruitment and retention at the Department of Transportation. And in that press release, you read that we have reduced our vacancy rate by 20% in just the last year. Right now, our agency vacancy rate is at 15.1%, and that's compared to the statewide vacancy rate of 21.8%. And I want to thank all of our district engineers, because they're all here together, but their collective vacancy rate is even lower than the agency's at 12.9%, which means that they're doing a tremendous job filling their positions, being aggressive, making sure that supervisors and managers are treating staff fairly and equitably. And so I want to congratulate especially the district engineers, because that vacancy rate of 12.9% really represents, something like 15 positions at each of your districts on average. And so congratulations on your work and your leadership for so many of communities, outside of where your district offices are. The DOT is the place to work. And for you all, being able to retain them, pay them equitably, and show them the respect that they deserve. I want to thank you guys for that, and congratulations on your vacancy rates. Mr. Chairman, earlier this week, we broke ground on a significant project. I want to thank Commissioner Tonjes. He was there in Albuquerque, but earlier this week, we broke ground on the largest single project that DOT will manage for the foreseeable future, and that was the Montgomery Comanche groundbreaking in Albuquerque. The project is estimated to cost us about $268 million, and we officially broke ground ceremoniously, but already next month in August, work will start out on Montgomery Comanche. I want to thank everybody who was able to attend. I want to thank communications team for putting together a good event. But a couple of points about this project, right? One is it's been in the works for years. And so I think it's important to recognize that, these are big projects, legacy projects for DOT and the engineers that have been working on them for years. Two, of course, that it's our largest single project. But three is it's the first design build project that we've pulled the trigger on in about 10 years. And it's the first design build contract that we've issued to a state of New Mexico contractor, right? And so when you think about those numbers, 270 million, 400 plus workers on the job at the peak, impacting over 100,000 drivers in a single day in the state's largest metropolitan area, it's a heavy lift. And I want to thank, Paul, I want to thank Dave Quintana, I know he's not here, Rick, John, and others who have put together the project management and oversight team to work on this. And as you all well know, some of the benefits of design build are aimed at getting this job done quicker, getting it to construction more timely, and ensuring that it stays on track and on budget are the benefits of design build. So I want to congratulate the team. I don't want to, I don't want to speak too soon, but I know it's going to be a good project, and so we're excited about it. And over the next several months, we'll be talking to you all about future projects moving on that same corridor. Next week, and I think we already have the save the date sent out to you, we're looking at a ribbon cutting for La Bajada, which was a big project for us for the last couple of years. I want to thank Mountain States, and I talked to Dave a couple of days ago and thanked him for really working on a difficult corridor, pushing through a lot of crashes related to probably some failure to abide with traffic speeds in a construction zone, but they did a good job and finished that project ahead of schedule and under budget. So we're hopeful that you'll be able to make it on Tuesday of next week. We're shooting for 1 o'clock. We figure it'll be nice and cool on the side of the road at 1 o'clock on I-25. So I think the attire, Mr. Chairman, will be sandals and shorts and sleeveless shirts, but we're trying to coordinate this event with the governor's availability, and we know she's got a lot going on. So we'll get you the final details on that as soon as they're available.
But it'll be Tuesday?
Tuesday the 23rd.
Perfect.
I want to especially recognize District 4, District 2, District 5, and even District 6. As you all know, I've been sending you updates over the last month about a lot of the fire recovery, flood recovery, and incident management that we've been doing across the state, from bridge detour failures on 64 to the fire and flooding that's going on in Ruidoso. We have burn scar floods in District 4 here in Mora, and really just all over the state. We've been vulnerable with communities receiving upwards of 4 and 5 inches of rain over the course of an afternoon and 2 days. And so I really want to send a shout out to the DEs who are leading these efforts. It doesn't stop. It doesn't contain itself to the work week and the work schedule. So I know a lot of our patrols have been working overtime nights, weekends to respond, to recover roads, to ensure that debris is not impacting the flow of water in our structures and in our ditches and for sure in the channels that we maintain on our right-of-way. So I think it's important to note that, on top of all the work that we plan to do from one day to the next, from 1 week to the next, we're just constantly on call for a lot of the issues that arise from natural disasters and from weather. So district engineers, please convey to your staff that we're aware of. I was down in Ruidoso with Francisco and Mike Smelker a couple of weeks ago to look at what they're facing there. And just like with Mora and San Miguel, it's going to be years before some of those issues resolve themselves, right, through the growth of natural vegetation. So please let them know that we really appreciate what they're doing. D5's included in that mix. Even in Rio Arriba County, we had a lot of flooding north of Espanola. I do want to share that we're in the process of working with Federal Highway Administration on federal redistribution. Like many years before, New Mexico Department of Transportation is demonstrated its ability to properly spend its federal apportionment. And so we're working on what we estimate to be at least $50 million of federal redistribution for projects that we have shelved across the state. And so as you all may know, and at some point we'll bring a bar to the commission for approval, is these are funds that are reallocated at the end of a fiscal year that allow for states that properly spend and allocate their federal apportionment to add to their annual authority to spend and pull some projects that are ready to rumble off the shelf and get them done. So we're looking forward to being able to add, that $50 or so million to our workload in just the next couple of months. I did also want to share, commissioners, because I know many of you were involved in the process. We are working now on preparing a TPF recommendation for you all. As you are aware, we're required under statutory obligation to get those before you by September 1. And so between now and September 1, we'll have a special meeting where we bring to you all our recommendations for the $56 million or so that we have available for Transportation Project Fund projects for local governments within your district. And then over the next couple of months, we'll be working on, $56 million is not enough money. I just want to say that. And I think the district engineers and you all who participated in the process realize how much that really box you into small projects, right?
Where-
Or multiple phase projects.
Where are the $6 million going?
The 6 million for,
No, because 50 are going to District 4. Yeah, okay.
not officially, that's not official yet. All right, so I did want to just let you know that after your approval of our authority to move toward the bond refinancing, we completed that process about a month ago. And after the process was completed and the final rates were locked in for that bond refinancing, our estimated savings are just under $7 million between now and 2032 on bond payments. And so thank you all for allowing us to do that, and Mallory and her team for working with New Mexico Finance Authority for helping us get through that process. But we estimate now about $7 million in savings over the next several years. Let's see here. A couple more things I did want to share. As I mentioned with you, we issued an RFP to higher education institutions across the state to help us develop credential programs for CDLs, equipment operators, construction project managers, and engineer techs. And so this went out on July 3rd, and we're looking forward to receiving essentially proposals from institutions that will help us develop programs to build a pipeline of workers in these areas that we've identified to be hard to fill positions. And so these things combined with growing and building up our internship program are measures that we're putting in place to not only retain our employees, but ensure that, and not just increase our retention efforts, but in many cases, we have to build that trained workforce to come into DOT. So we're looking forward to what we're going to hear from them on that call for proposals.
I have a quick one. I know that in Las Vegas, West Las Vegas started a CDL program, and I was talking to the superintendent last week. And he said that a lot of those employees, Adam, were already gearing up to go work for DOT. They were gonna apply and start, so I would encourage any district that has any programs at the high school level or at other levels with CDLs to tap into them, because CDLs are becoming harder and harder to get with all the medical requirements and all that good stuff, so it's good to hear that we're doing this.
At our last meeting, Mr. Chairman, you met Amy Whitfield, who joined NMDOT. I wanted to share that one of the first projects we gave her was buttoning up and releasing a new grant application that the DOT is funding at $2 million. And she eloquently named the program Que Linda, Statewide Beautification Program, which is a $2 million grant that the DOT now administers that awards local governments resources needed to develop their own local beautification program as an effort to help the NMDOT keep New Mexico's roadways clear of litter and debris. And so we're focusing on education, litter pickup, and enforcement. And so along with the call for applications, we provided local governments with a toolkit of tactics and strategies and even policy measures that we're hoping local governments essentially implement to help, again, educate their communities about litter, to provide enforcement measures that, of course, address issues like unsecured loads in communities. And 3 is, of course, empower the entire community from youth on to correctional facility inmates, how to contribute to overall litter pickup. And so we had over 35 participants at kind of like a pre-proposal discussion with local governments. But we're hopeful to get those awards out to local governments within the next month, and we expect each community award to hover around $200,000, which will actually support the funding of a local beautification coordinator. The goal here is that we don't just give communities money to pick up trash, we give them money to sustain their local beautification efforts. And so thank you, Amy, for doing that, and Christine for helping with that effort. And then lastly, and I'll be quiet, here is on I mentioned earlier the work that we're doing at our districts right now in the space of overtime for a lot of fire flood recovery and a lot of extra work. At the end of the fiscal year, the state fiscal year, we identified some concerns that in the program that funds the personnel expenditures for the districts, that we were at risk of being under budget for the final payroll in FY24. And so what we did is exercise our authority under Commission Policy 41. And myself and our ASD director consulted with Chairman Adams pursuant to Commission Policy 41 to approve a $2 million budget adjustment request to cover payroll for our districts in the final pay period for FY24, which ended in June 30th. And so pursuant to Commission Policy 41, we processed that bar with the concurrence of the chairman, but we are required pursuant to that policy to report out to the commission that we exercised that authority. So that bar was processed on July 3rd in the amount of $2 million to cover a potential shortfall in salaries for our district operations on the heels of what we've needed to do in responding to natural disasters. And so I wanted to put that on the record so that we can satisfy our responsibilities under that commission policy. And then the last thing, again, the second last thing is there's a new face in the crowd. Well, there's probably a few of them. Like Adam said, we bring in a lot of people on board, but one in particular that you all will interact with. I have a new assistant that started work with us. I guess it's going to be a couple of months. Her name is Tammy Trujillo, who joined us from Hemes Electric Cooperative in Espanola. And so Tammy is hit the ground running. She survived a car ride over here with Mallory and Denise. That means a lot. It really does, right? Rick, that means a lot, right? Yeah. Although she did say she wants to ride back with me and Jessica, so go figure. It shows survival skills and a lot of intellect, right? They're all in one. And so I want to welcome Tammy. She provides direct oversight, of course, to Christine. And so they're going to be each other's support, right? Both for commission and things outside of commission. But
on behalf of the commission, welcome and thank you. And
good luck.
I called the secretary because I hadn't met you. I didn't even know you came on board. And I told him, who the hell is Tammy? I'm getting all these emails and that, and they want me to sign this and this, and then he explained it to me, so welcome on board. Now I know who you are, and if I get an email, I can concur.
And so with that, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'll stand for any questions you have. Otherwise, I can kind of hand the baton off to Christine, and she can share some updates on what the communications team has been doing.
What is the pleasure of this commission? Any questions, any comments? If not, we can continue.
All right, good report, thank you.
Ricky talks for 20 minutes, and then I'm up here for 5 seconds, and you tell me, good job. I figured I'd come up here just so that I can say hello. Chairman Adams, members of the commission, thank you for letting me do a quick presentation. We'll move through this pretty quickly. I think that everything I will speak on you've probably seen, so we shouldn't take too long. Bless you. Yes. All right. So moving through
Bless
the
you.
presentation. Yes, bless you again. Quickly. High-level overview of our communications department. Obviously, our team works to keep the public informed through announcements, newsletters, media inquiries, social media, constituent concerns, multimedia, which includes video and photography, and NM Roads. And our goal has really been to work closely with our employees to highlight their accomplishments and the work that we complete at DOT on a daily basis. The primary goal that we focused on over the last about 9 months has been to increase the overall awareness of the DOT so that it's easier for us to share the hard work of our entire team And we've done this in a variety of ways, including increasing our social media following, increasing the number of announcements that you see from DOT, creating tools to help spread awareness and messaging. This is like the Name a Snowplow contest and Zippy, our mascot. We're looking to standardize the look and feel. We have a style guide coming out. We are working on a email distribution system, some coordination agency-wide on employee recognition, and then continuing to create some synergy and efforts towards consistency in our messaging. So I'm just going to give a few highlights. I don't know if any of you heard of this. We did a snowplow contest for the state of New Mexico, which was a much larger success, I think, than any of us could have ever recognized. And again, I had seen that other states had done this. I came on as the comms director just before winter and thought, why don't we have a Name a Snowplow contest? We have the coolest snowplows and most creative individuals. New Mexicans are very witty and funny, and so anyways, we launched the contest, a few numbers just for awareness. The website page that we launched for this had over 102,000 hits. Of course, New Mexicans did not disappoint. We had 23,000 votes that were cast for official results. On our social media, we had an overall engagement increase. We reached over 400,000 people, and not to mention that we were on the air, on the local TV news, stations and radios, and then just in a single post when we announced the names, we had over 265,000 impressions. And there were many other third parties that shared, but didn't do a direct share, so we didn't grab their analytics. We also were able to collaborate with some other organizations. For example, we coordinated with the New Mexico Cultural Affairs Department for Billy the Skid, and then Zozobra in Santa Fe reached out to do some collective PR for Snow Zobra. We use snowplows and AI to promote jobs at jobs at the DOT, and we've started to take some snowplows to events. I will say, Lisa, probably my favorite picture ever of all times is a picture of a snowplow pulling a Zippy the Roadrunner in a 4th of July parade. I think I sent Ricky a text message and said, that's it, mic drop. Like, I got a snowplow pulling a Roadrunner, like, we're good. So thanks, Lisa, that was awesome. Kind of next page is just a quick reference at some of the posts and engagements that we are putting up. And I mention this because I think one of the 2 comments that I've had that I really feel like we are raising awareness at DOT is, the first one, someone told me, hey, you know when you buy a new car and you suddenly see that car all over the road? They're like, after the snowplow contest, I see our DOT snowplows all over the road. And I thought that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to raise awareness that we are here and we are in your community. And the second coolest thing I ever heard in the snowplow contest was someone said, you know, I seriously am continuously looking out for snowplows because I'm just trying to see, like, is that Snow Zobra? Is that Walter Whiteout? Wherever I am, I'm trying to see if it's one of the snowplows that was named. And I think that that really is cool. It brings awareness to what we're doing, and it has people actually looking for us on the roads. I know in D1, Amy, our PIO, has mentioned that people, even driving the snowplows, like they start getting honked at and waved. And so they're like, we're kind of in a local celebrity now, which I think is kind of funny. So I won't talk too much, but moving on, NMDOT, we also introduced, as many of you know, Zippy, the safety mascot. He is a roadrunner. He is with us. He's back there. I guess I could have brought him up. Sorry about that. Sorry, Zippy. We also have, he was, sorry. He was launched to coincide with the start of the National Work Zone Safety Awareness Week. This is a very serious topic. It's something that the secretary brought to me early on and said, I need you to raise awareness, our construction zones, our workers, we need something more. And so he let me run loose a little bit with an idea to create a mascot for DOT. Again, kind of trying to create some connectivity and a new tool for messaging, in part with the, in conjunction of the launch of Zippy, we also had an internal campaign because employee engagement is really big to us and to Cabinet Secretary Cerna. And so what we did is we launched Zippy, the mascot, externally. Simultaneously, we had an internal competition where we asked districts to participate in the GO and create roadrunners out of orange construction zone barrels. I think all of you have seen them, many of you have worked on them, and it's been really neat to see them at their districts. As I mentioned, Lisa recently had hers in a parade. That Zippy actually won the statewide contest, but you know, also Zippy was festive for 4th of July in District 1, and we've kind of seen the evolution of Zippy along things. I think on the next slide I just have pictures. If you haven't seen or taken a tour, I encourage you to check out the Roadrunners. They are at different districts across. We have District 1, 3, 4, 6, and the general office that participated. And then kind of moving on, again, as part of the awareness and some things that we've been trying, Zippy is spreading messages across New Mexico. We recently launched a digital billboard campaign in Albuquerque and Las Cruces, so we're rotating 8 safety messages from Zippy over some digital billboards. And just to give some perspective on the numbers that we're reaching, we're getting 3.2 million weekly impressions with these billboards. And I know that some of you have seen Zippy inspired KOB to do a whole series on Do New Mexicans Know How to Zipper Merge? That's garnered a lot of statewide attention. And then also Zippy has been sharing other messages like put your phone down and drive safely through your work zones. So I think that Zippy has been well received by New Mexicans. And quickly, I'll just mention that Cabinet Secretary Cerna talked about vacancy rates. I won't go into that other than we've used a lot of creative strategic marketing to kind of help get into our communities and local groups. We also used billboards to promote that we were hiring as well. There's samples of those. And then I just kind of want to mention briefly that we have new and ongoing employee engagement. I think many of you participated in some Halloween events that we had at the districts in the GO. Obviously the Zippy Orange Barrel participation. We tried to launch some Football Friday events. We recently did the Freedom from Hunger food drive, which ran through the end of July, and that was a collaboration with ACNM and Roadrunner Food Bank. And then we're working to standardize some of the gifts for the service awards, create budget to support the districts, standardize frequency and criteria for awards, and then create an annual calendar schedule. Our goal really is to promote staff internally and also to create some awareness for external connectivity to our community. So kind of at a last glance, I think many of you know I've started bringing communication at a glance brochures to the commission meeting and have been trying to include more frequently kind of our numbers and where we are overall. We have been doing, one thing I mentioned, and I know I mention it a lot, is we've had an increase in our social media following. We've had a 25% increase. So we have over 20,000 followers in New Mexico. But that means that when we post things like the winners of our equipment rodeo, District 1, we just posted that, we had 43,000 impressions, which means 43,000 people saw the post, are aware of what we're doing, and we're reaching numbers that we really haven't seen before, including awareness and engagement for DOT. So it's something that we've really leveraged that tool, and I think the public has really appreciated seeing the hard work of DOT employees across New Mexico. So anyways, just a few of the things that we're doing: outreach events, elementary school events, and of course, you know, I think all of it is geared toward making sure that we are raising awareness internally and externally about the hard work of DOT. And I just want to say thank you. I have an amazing communication team, commission, materials, photography, videography, announcements. Really, they do a wonderful job at helping us capture the hard work of all DOT. So, I will stand for questions if you have any.
Before I do, somebody from the community told me, hey, they named a snowplow after you. When they were doing this thing, it was Walter Whiteout or whatever. And so I was all happy. I said, they finally named something after me. And then I called Adam, and Adam says, that has nothing to do with you, so. I mean,
Adam, why would you do that?
hey, you know how to burst my bubble quick, but that's all right, that's all right. I just wanted to say that it's my understanding that as the PIO, that you're overseeing all the PIOs throughout the districts. And I would just like to say that I think it would be a great idea, and I know we've talked about it, but it's never happened, that you go to each district and like in soon, you meet with each commissioner, you meet with each DE and with each PIO, and just so that they can get to know you and so that you can let them know exactly what you told us here, what you're working on, what your goals is as a group. And because at some point or another, although we have our own PIs on our district, we might have to go through you for a comment that's going to go statewide or whatever. So I think it would just be good that we all sat down and talked. And then the secretary and I have been talking, and I think at some point that the secretary, myself, and you sit down and we discuss like what information should come to us. Although we get the information, as the secretary told me, from our PIOs in the districts, there's some stuff that's that you put out that goes global, and it goes to the governor's office, and we can talk about that. So if you get a chance in the next while, if you can just sit down and you can talk to each commissioner, see what's good for them, and the DE and the PIO, and it'll be a quick meeting, and you can buy coffee, and that way we get to know each other better and we know what's going on. And so with that, I thank you for what you're doing. I think those road runners, we got a request from one of the, was it the REA, Adam? The Mora San Miguel REA, that they're having a big conference, and they asked if they could use the road runner. And Adam told them, if you can come and load it up, go ahead. So it's garnishing a lot of attention. So with that, thank you for your report, and we look forward to meeting you soon. Yes, sir.
Just a couple of things. I mean, first of all, Mr. Chairman, I've known you for a long time, so I've named a lot of things after you, but we can talk about that later.
Hey.
But I just want to propose an idea. First of all, yes, Christine, thank you, you're doing a great job, and I agree with the chairman that, you know, really getting out, sitting with the commissioners, I think they have a really good pulse on what it is works best in their communities. It'll be great. But, you know, one of the discussions that we've had ongoing, even prior to you getting here, is the understanding and use of the zipper merge. And that is tricky. In fact, a lot of us sit around asking the same questions like, does anybody really know how to do it, right? Somebody mentioned earlier that they tried doing it, I think Jerry, and he got flipped off. I think he was doing it wrong. But what if we engage the public on submitting 20-second videos on a creative way to explain the use of the zipper merge, right? So that we can engage them in researching how it's used, and then we can use their videos, their creative videos, on how to teach others how to do it correctly. And you talk about the response for the naming of the snowplows. I think this could be just as successful, if not more, because for every submission, I just imagine 3 or 4 people coming together to figure it out. So I just want to go on record as that being my idea, because in 4 months you'll come and talk about how it was great and take credit for it. But I think that might be a good tool, because the use of the zipper merge is just big, given our commitment to not doing entire road closures.
So if there's no other questions, we want to thank you for coming and giving your presentation, and we look forward to meeting you soon.
All right, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to go to FHWA, our partner in crime. This is our partner from FHWA, and for those that don't know about that, this is where we get all our federal money. And if you look at the interstates and all the work that's going on, we partner with them to get all our money and resources, and so we work well together, and we appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me again, and good to see everybody here. I was taking care of it. Hi there, we'll try that again. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you. Thank you for having me again today. And I was just going to cover a couple of 4 quick points that I wanted to share with everybody. And first, I just wanted to start off and thank Rick Padilla. Secretary Serna mentioned about the flooding and the fires that we've been covering these last couple of months, and last month, especially with the city of Ruidoso, not only the fires, but the flooding that they had as well. And FEMA was reaching out to us for a lot of information constantly, and many thanks to Rick. He was providing that information to us so we can provide a response. So thank you, Rick, for your help in all of that, and District 2. Thanks. I was going to advocate for work zones as well, but I won't belabor that. I think you guys have done a great job. Just asking everyone to please be mindful of the work zones and slow down. So we had, the patrols here, especially Clayton Patrol, and the maintenance crews who helped put a face to the workers in our construction zones and maintenance work as well. So we want everybody to get home at night. So just ask everyone to please watch out for those work zones and slow down. Our family members are working there, so please be mindful of that. So thank you, and thank you for supporting those efforts as well. Chairman, you always like when we bring the money. And
bring the money. Show me the money.
So we're going to show you some money.
Okay.
And congratulations to the department. Yesterday, the Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, announced the fiscal year 24 Bridge Investment Program large bridge project grant awards. And the department received $71,250,000 for Nogal Canyon Bridge.
Perfect,
so
thank you.
Congratulations to the department on that, and Denise, for all your work on that to be successful and get that money.
Thank you for that.
And lastly, I know we want to sign a new stewardship and oversight agreement between Federal Highways and the department. So Secretary, not sure how you want to do that, but I know we wanted to do that today as well in front of the commission. So.
Let's do it right now because I don't want to lose the money.
Mr. Chairman, maybe when we do the pictures for the other stuff, we can do the same thing.
Let's do it. Let's do everything right now, and we'll take a little break. Now, I don't want everybody leaving. Look, I worked there long enough to know that if you leave now, you got to get back to work. So stick around here, go have lunch, and get back at 4, okay? We'll take a break for everybody else. We'll take pictures, Rick. And Adam will take pictures.
I think that Joe Biden is a nice man. I think that he's probably past his functionality. I mean, you could just say it.
Yeah, it's not.
I hope somebody, yeah, I hope somebody tells me that when I can't do what I'm supposed to do, you know. And I think that's going to come back at election time. That's just kind of, you know, there's too many people that are coming out of the woodwork.
We're going to go ahead and continue. So, Mark Lovato, can we get you up here?
Well, look at inflation.
Welcome, Mark.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Secretary, somewhere back there. I'm going to go through the results of your 2024 bond sale.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to thank you so much for giving the authorization to NMFA to issue those bonds on behalf of the department. The bonds were sold on June 11th in the par amount of $117,485,000. With these bonds, we actually were refunding 3 of your outstanding bond series. It's your 14A, 14B1, and 14B2 in the amount of $123.3 million. The bonds closed on July 2nd. Typically what happens on that closing date, July 2nd, we would actually call the bonds, pay the bondholders, and you were done. In this case, we did not actually do that. We actually were able to, with the way the yield curve is these days, it's very, very inverted. We were able to actually place the bond proceeds into an escrow account for up to 90 days under IRS rules at a yield of 5.46. By doing that, we accomplished or produced an additional $151,000 of present value savings. So the overall gross savings for the department on this refunding series on a present value basis is around $7 million. On a cash basis or total debt service over the next 8 years, it's $8.67 million. The department was also, with this refunding, able to shorten their debt portfolio from a final maturity of 2032 to 2031. A little bit of background on that bond sale. On Thursday, June 6th, we met with the underwriters as well as department staff, your financial advisor, PFM, to kind of strategize about when do we want to price these bonds. Data during that week was actually really in favor of bonds. The labor market was starting to somewhat soften, which created a big rally in the bond market during that week. So we wanted to try and capture those potential savings. So it was advised that we actually move up the pricing a week to the week of June 10th, which we actually did. Now during the order period, that morning of June 11th, the order period was actually extremely successful. We had full subscriptions of maturities, except for your large one, which was 2027. That maturity actually accounted for about 60% of your whole bond series. The 25-26 subscriptions were 1.5 times. The 28 through the 30 bonds maturities were subscribed at 2 times and 4 times on the 2031. So based on these subscription levels, the underwriters agreed to reduce the bond yields in the 28 through the 30 by 2 basis points, and on the 31, 4 basis points. Again, the overall savings for the department on debt service is $8.67 million over 8 years, and on the present value savings, there was around $7 million. Total true interest cost on those bonds is 3.25%.
So as we discussed earlier, we'll be able to pay off our bond debt a year earlier, correct?
Correct. Your final maturity on all of your debt moved up a year, so your final maturity is now 2031. Going on page 68 and 69, this is what your outstanding bond debt portfolio looks like after that bond series. You have 3 senior lien bonds still outstanding in a par amount of $166.5 million. You have 2 subordinate lien bond series outstanding in a total amount of $413.5 million for a total of $580 million. On page 69, this is a graph that'll show how short your portfolio really is. It goes across by fiscal years from 25 to 2031. The red line showing the outstanding bond amounts, and the bars showing what your annual debt service is. Your annual debt service is basically $111 million from here on out, except for year 27, which is a peak of $122 million. With that, I'll stand for any questions.
Fellow commissioners, do you have any questions, comments? No. So at this time, Mark, you're very happy with our portfolio?
Extremely
We
happy.
are, because of that extra year that we're saving, so.
Yeah, it was great to have that extra year savings. If you had the savings in there, you might as well have taken it.
Okay, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you at the next meeting. Okay. We're gonna go on to the PRC Transportation Division transfer. And for those in the audience that don't know about this, you have heard of the PRC. The PRC was transferred over to DOT. So now the PRC falls under NMDOT, so now they've joined our family, I guess to say, right? Alicia, if you...
Thank you so much. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. We're happy to say we didn't get the entire PRC. Just one area of operations.
We're working on it.
A little at a time, right? Baby steps. Yeah. Thank you so much. I am pleased to have been entrusted to lead this group for the Transportation Regulation Division at DOT, as well as to be part of the coordination of contributing to the transition of this group from PRC over to us. And so in addition to me, Eric Aragon will also make part of the presentation this morning. So on page 1 of this presentation, I think in your books you should see on the next slide that there's an organizational chart that shows where this functionality falls within DOT. It's not a really clear match or an easy match for the big projects that we've heard discussed here today. So you see that it falls within our modal division, and Dave Harris heads that up. And so this group actually is a combination of the ports of entry functionality that's managed by Jennifer Block, and this group that's coming over from the PRC. And so that in its entirety is our Transportation Regulation Division. And for perspective, the ports of entry, as you can see on slide 3, actually gives you a breakdown that ports of entry deal with interstate traffic and the heavy commercial vehicles that cross through our ports of entry. It's a coordinated effort with DPS, where DPS conducts investigations of vehicles, and we make sure that folks are up to date with their taxes. And if they don't have appropriate permits for oversized, overweight, we pay that tax. And so in that case, the focus of that activity of our employees is both on revenue generation and safety. And on the motor carrier side, what's coming over from PRC focuses on intrastate motor carriers and authorities that are required in order to operate in the state of New Mexico to transport people or goods that require an authority. And so we are enforcing the Motor Carrier Act as well as the Ambulance Standards Act. And again, the focus here is really on safety and making sure that all the work that's done to properly maintain our roads, we focus on the folks who are using it. And so again, every company or person who's providing any kind of transportation service on the next slide must have an operating authority. And on the next slide also shows you what those types of authorities are. And they really are broken down by people and property primarily, although there are a couple of types of motor carriers that don't fit neatly into one of those categories. So you can see here that the permits that we offer are really sold to transportation network companies, which really are the equivalent of Lyft and Uber, Kanga, Silverlight, those kinds of services. Certificates, with the exception of the transportation of general service transportation of household goods, focus on people. So the full service activities or services that you see provided here really are intended to meet a specific need for communities, regardless of whether or not those businesses operate at a profit. And so we're wanting to make sure that we're focusing on equity and making sure that the citizens of New Mexico get needed services like ambulance and taxi and shuttle service. And the general services are more about profit, so they don't have to necessarily provide that service in the community if they're not generating a profit. And warrants, of course, focus primarily on profit, with the exception of some of those household goods services that are in certificates. So with the folks that are coming over from the PRC to us, they're bringing with them about 2,211 motor carriers. 4 of those are the permits to the transportation network companies, and you can see the breakdown for certificates and warrants. Certificates include 267 across the state that are 88 ambulance services, and so that's one of the areas of focus that we have. And in comparison to the large budgets that we've heard today, our couch change is about $895,000. And we'll have a lot of learning over the next year or so to make sure that we have sufficient funding and resources to be able to provide the services, again, equitably and safely across the state. On the next slide, we see here that we're starting to break down the program by their 3 units of operation. There are really 3 basic units: applications, compliance, and inspection and investigations, which are fairly self-explanatory. This applications unit, of course, receives the applications, makes sure that everybody's in compliance. They also manage our unified carrier registration for certain motor carriers. It's hard to read the names of the staff that are coming over. Where you do see a staff name, that's an individual who is coming from the PRC. They had a number of folks that are coming over, and where it's vacant, they're positions that we created and have advertised, and in some cases have made selections or will re-advertise. So that's what the applications unit does. Compliance is primarily desk audits, looking for compliance with a certain number of requirements that are set for the various types of authorities. And also, if we need to take anybody to hearings, we can definitely do that. And again, this is a unit that's completely staffed by, the applications unit is headed by Yvette Hetzer. She has on her team Justin Garcia and Debbie Garcia. The compliance unit has Casey Dunn. She has 3 employees. Crystal Boyce, Kevin Bay Bojorquez, and Christopher Gutierrez. And so we're really happy to have them. And then on the next page, you'll see primarily the focus on inspections and investigation. This is areas and figuring out how to has in different parts of the state in order to fill the gaps that they had identified. And so again, we're in various stages of recruitment for those. So depending on what they find, again, the focus is primarily on safety. Depending on what they find, they will make recommendations potentially for action to be taken with the carrier, including on economic development, but also trying to get when we have a really bad actor, taking more stiff penalties, fines, and potentially authority. And so with that, I'll hand it over to Eric so that he can talk a little bit about all of the hard work that's happened over the last year or so to get them from where they were to where they are now.
Thank you, Alicia. Chairman, Commissioners, District Engineers, DOT employees, it gives me a new appreciation for DOT. I didn't know a whole lot about DOT. I still don't, but I'm continuing to learn. So on the next slide, this was really an interagency collaboration, which was led by Secretary Serna, myself as the project manager, working with PRC. And what we did initially is Secretary Serna identified all of the key stakeholders, brought them to the table, We established the steering committee. We identified all of the sub-teams necessary to execute this project. And we had an initial staff meeting. And to the credit of Secretary Serna and his staff, they recognized these employees, the PRC, as anyone in transition, at times have a lot of questions and uncertainty. So very quickly, we pulled them together. We had a staff meeting, which allowed introductions and basically communicated the message that you're coming over, we care about you. It was a good staff meeting, initial staff meeting. So the basis of this project was Senate Bill 160. This was a Senate bill that was approved through the legislature, and this really set the tone and provided the scope for this project. It had very clear timelines, which would be completed by the end of fiscal year, June 30th. It identified some of the risks and issues. One of those, for example, is the adjudication process. DOT does not have an adjudication process, and bringing this bureau over, a adjudication process will be established. We also understood all the performance implications, administrative implications. And on the next slide, these are the sub-teams that were identified. We had the budget, finance, audit and procurement led by Mallory, and she had a lot of her staff, Miranda and others that contributed. We had statute and regulations. Steve and Elizabeth were instrumental. Steve and his attorneys did a lot of work here in this area. There was a lot of regulations and statutes that needed to be comprehended and submitted for approval. As I mentioned, the adjudication process. We have Steve and Elizabeth as well as Jessica working on this process. We had HR, policy, and personnel, Jessica leading that as well with Sarah. Records team, Cynthia and Melanie. IT and systems led by Jeff and his team. And communications, Christine and Patrick from PRC. So we had regular steering committee meetings where we would provide updates on the project, and we had regular project team update meetings pretty much on the weekly basis. So we put together the project timeline, we dissected Senate Bill 160, defined all the requirements, and assembled these sub-teams to go off and hit the ground running and start working. And through the transition, initially PRC, the director that led that team, Jesse and his team, had clearly identified some gaps and holes that existed for various reasons as it existed in PRC. These were comprehended, new positions were created, job assignments were clarified, and then as far as budget, we wanted to ensure a sufficient, sustainable budget for these employees. In the bill, it estimated approximately $1 million to sustain this group. There was additional monies that was requested, was not approved, and in fact, it came in under that amount. So DOT has put in place measures to estimate and calculate what it's going to require to sustain this group under DOT, and I would imagine there would be a future ask for additional monies. There was seamless customer service through this transition. The employees that ran PRC not only contributed to the project, but they were also sustaining operations. And the consistent and accurate communications with internal and external customers was really demonstrated by the communications plan that was established and rolled out. We notified each and every one of the customers of the transition, what would be taking place as of July 1. And in fact, the communication plan was so effective, I think DOT is now receiving complaints and inquiries. So I think it's very clear to the PRC customers the transition has taken place. IT systems of functionality and consistency, I'd like to give Jeff and his team a lot of credit here. We had a handful of IT systems that needed to come over and integrate with the DOT infrastructure and systems. The rules update, again, Steve, Elizabeth, and their teams, a lot of regulations and statutes that needed to be documented and submitted for approval. And overall, just a smooth transition of all those PRC employees coming over from HR to payroll, equipment, duties. We wanted to ensure they had everything they need to hit the ground running and be able to continue with operations. So this is your team. Alicia, led by Alicia Ortiz, Jen Block, Yvette Hertzler, Casey Dunn, and Fidel Archuleta. So in closing, again, I want to just recognize Secretary Serna and his team. I was very impressed with all of your resources. Every one of them contributed. They came to the table. They did their share. They followed up with action items. And I can gladly say this project is in its closing, and everything has been completed to our satisfaction. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Eric. Really, there was a lot of thanks to the Cabinet Secretary for helping to coordinate this effort. I think it went really, really smoothly. I think the work that Eric provided in that structure was also really beneficial. It's hard to keep track of all of those moving pieces. I mean, all of those systems that came over for IT to ensure that continuous customer service was significant. Some of the early feedback that we got from the staff over at PRC was identifying service gaps in the community, which is why we ended up with some of those FTEs that we created in the field. There were also some levels of functionality that I failed to mention at the org chart. With regard to rail inspections. So there was one person that came over from rail. Those are not housed within this group. They are housed with the transit and rail group, which is a much better fit. And then we also, as part of the adjudication process, hiring 2 attorneys and 2 hearings officers to be able to accommodate that level of work. And for part of this, one of the challenges for this group also bringing them over was finding space for them. As you know, our GO is pretty, we're pushing out the walls a little bit, and so we were, with a lot of support from the Cabinet Secretary and the Deputy Cabinet Secretary, able to secure sufficient space at the Willie Ortiz building in Santa Fe. That's currently being built out, and so we're looking forward to being able to take that space. And you know, that's really significant. As we were making this presentation, we were preparing it, I really hesitated to list any specific names. What we had up there was really the DOT and the PRC partners that were the business leads for each of those subject areas that we were looking at. But it was, when we say it takes a village, it took more than a village. There were a lot of people who put a lot of work into this, including the folks that are coming over on the PRC staff that will be working directly with me. And we had really good communications with ports of entry to see where there are potential overlaps and making sure that we're providing sufficient services and offering support to one another. And going forward, we had a go-live date, which is now a went-live date of July 1, and we're working really hard on figuring out how best to integrate with DOT to serve as a resource to other parts of the department and also know what resources we have. And again, with a huge focus on safety and looking at those inspections, I think we can contribute significantly to the Target Zero initiative. So with that, Mr. Chair and members of the Commission, I stand for any questions.
Fellow
And,
commissioners, any questions, comments?
Thank you.
No? And with that, the commission wishes, go ahead, Secretary.
I want to thank everybody. You saw the names in the presentation. I won't belabor it. I want to thank Eric and DWS Secretary Nair for lending us Eric, Alicia and others for this process. I think it went as smooth as could be. And I do just want to kind of call our attention to something that Eric touched on, and that is, you know, we appreciate the new team coming over from the PRC. We've met with them a couple of times. We'll do so again once their office is ready. You know, we're going to break some bread and kind of, you know, ribbon cut their new space, you know, over at Willie Ortiz. But there's one thing within within Senate Bill 160 that we believe hasn't been achieved yet, and it's an issue that we're continuing to push with our colleagues at DFA. And within the first 8 lines of Senate Bill 160, this is what it says: transferring personnel, functions, money, appropriations, other property and contractual obligations, and changing reference in law. Most of that came over here. with the exception of money and appropriations, all right? And so it's prescribed in Senate Bill 160 that we receive money and appropriations with this, with these responsibilities. Those two things haven't occurred yet. Perhaps we need to debate that a little bit, but as you can imagine, there's one source of funding that did and will continue to support the operations of this division, and it will be our road fund, right? And so we're excited about being able to afford, you know, on the heels of the state road fund, the transfer of this division. But as you all know, DOT doesn't receive recurring appropriations from the general fund. But in Senate Bill 160, it prescribed that. And even if that would have occurred for 1 year, then it would have been enough to assist with the transition. So I just want, you know, the commission to know that we're still looking to see why, even just for that current year, the appropriation transfer didn't occur, and hopefully it'll materialize to at least support, you know, the purchase of their new vehicles, equipment, the lease on the office space, their new equipment, and other things that I think they're very much entitled to. So just wanted to make that note, Mr. Chairman.
And on that, any questions, comments? With that, we wish you good luck. Thank you for coming and presenting today. And if you need any support from us, well, we have another meeting in Rio Rancho.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we're gonna go ahead and continue. We now have Denise.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Chairman, Commissioners. I'm here to present bar number 4, P562. So this is an FY25 bar. It's required to increase the budget authority by $33 million. $25 million is from the federal 2021 infant grant from the US DOT that Los Lunas got, and $8 million is from the state road fund balance. So this is for Los Lunas' project. It'll be used to design and construct a new interchange on I-25 at Morris Road, a river crossing, 4 signalized intersections, approximately 4 miles of 2-lane highway with a 10-foot multi-use trail. So with that, I respectfully request your approval.
Mr. Secretary, what's your recommendation?
Mr. Chair, I recommend approval of this support from DOT for this locally project.
Fellow commissioners, you've had a chance to review action item A. What is the pleasure of this commission? Do I have a motion?
I'll move approval.
I have a motion from Commissioner Taylor for approval. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Commissioner Lundstrom. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously.
Thank you.
There you go. Thank you. Let's move on to Jerry.
Good afternoon, Chairman Adams, Commissioners, Secretary. I'm here to present bar number 5. An FY25 bar is required to increase the budget authority in grant services by $64,166,610 million. $63,898,809 million is required for the federal 2023 CFI grant awarded by the US DOT to the department. The grant will build 2 EV charging centers for medium and heavy-duty commercial electric vehicle traveling centers along Interstate 10. Each center will have 9 pull-through stalls and serve as a crucial link between I-10 electrical corridors, the nation's first network of high-powered charging centers for heavy-duty trucks from San Pedro ports in Southern California to El Paso, Texas. A 20% match is supported by our partner Terawatt, the prime contractor. Also, $266,800 is to guarantee funds for Santa Fe County and the town of Taos to provide the non-federal cost share match according to the schedule outlined in the Charging and Fueling Infrastructure Grant Program award, which the Department of Transportation to the state of New Mexico committed to provide with available state funds. The New Mexico Department of Transportation strongly supports the competitive CFI applications of both parties as New Mexico strives to achieve net zero emissions through clean energy projects. We respectfully request bar approval today.
Mr. Secretary, what is your recommendation?
Sure, Mr. Chairman, just in a nutshell, this 63.8 million is a CFI award that went directly to that project. And in that same round of proposals, Santa Fe County and Town of Taos were also awarded, and this 267 is our match commitment for those projects, so recommend approval.
Fellow commissioners, you had a chance to review the bar for number 5. What is the I have a motion from Commissioner Lundstrom for approval. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second by Commissioner Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Secretary Serna.
Sure, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'll present to you bar number 6 to provide budget authority to grant $10 million to the City of Albuquerque for use in its planned design and construction in the pedestrian crossing over Central Avenue at First Street, essentially in front of the rail station there in downtown. The $10 million is a commitment made about a couple of years ago to support the City of Albuquerque, and we've recently executed that agreement to support the project.
That is his recommendation. Do I have any questions, comments from fellow commissioners? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
I have a so moved by Commissioner Tonjes. Do I have a second?
Second that motion.
Second for approval of action item bar number 6. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries unanimously. Next, we're going to go on to Gray Cole.
Chairman Adams, Secretary Serna, Commissioners. Today we're bringing forward CP 32. At the last STC meeting, you guys were giving the red lines for that version. Today we're seeking approval for the updates to CP 32 at this time.
If it would be all right with you, and if it's all right with the commission, what I'd like for you to do is go ahead and do D, E, and F.
Of course, yes, sir. Moving on to the second is CP 62. It's additions and deletions from the state highway system. Again, at the last commission meeting, red lines were provided to the commission. Edits were made to more or less update this commission policy as well. And today we are here seeking approval of the proposed amendments. And finally, F is CP 65, the proposed amendments for the Interstate Access Commission policy. Again, red lines were provided at the last commission meeting, was updated, bringing it more current, and today we are seeking approval from the commission for those amendments.
Thank you. Fellow commissioners, you had a chance to review these recommendations. Mr. Secretary, what is your recommendation?
Mr. Chairman, you see the red line changes, real basic cleanup, recommend approval of these 3 policy updates.
Any comments, questions? If not, what is the pleasure of this commission?
Approval.
We have a motion for approval of action item, approval of proposed amendments to Commission Policy Number 32, Mineral and Water Rights, CP 32. Action item, approval of proposed amendments to Commission Policy Number 62, additions to and deletions from the state highway system. And action item, approval of proposed amendment to Commission Policy Number 65, interstate access. I had a motion from Commissioner Taylor, correct? Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second from Commissioner Lundstrom. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That carries unanimously. D, E, and F. Thank you. We will now move on to G, action item FY 2025 Local Government Road Fund. Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of commission.
It's always good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you as well.
Okay.
So I'm here today to seek approval for some funding adjustments to our FY25 Local Government Road Fund program. After our previous meeting, the Village of Capitan reached out to District 2 and informed them that they would not like to participate in this year's program. So District 2 would like to redistribute their funding to the following entities. So the Village of Cloudcroft will receive an extra $14,618. Village of Fort Sumner, another $14,618. Village of Ruidoso, $54,894. and City of Ruidoso Downs, $55,370. With that, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, I stand for any questions.
Thank you for those recommendations, and that's all going to District 2. What about 4?
District 2's the one that gave up the
Okay,
money.
Okay, hey, okay. Mr. Secretary, what is your recommendation?
Mr. Chair, recommend approval of these action items.
You fellow commissioners, any comments, any questions?
No, sir. So moved.
Yes. Commissioner Taylor,
Excuse
I'm
me.
just curious why they
refused?
don't want to funds any longer.
They have a lot of additional projects that they like to complete, and they feel that it's more beneficial for them to finish up those existing projects before accepting any new funding.
Okay, thank you. I'll move approval.
I have a motion for approval for action item FY 2025 Local Government Road Fund Program. Do I have a second?
Yes, sir, second.
I have a second from Commissioner Tonjes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries unanimously. See how quick that was? And I saw you there, you were nervous all morning.
I still have one more to go, so.
Oh. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going on to the next one, the hardship waiver. Go ahead.
So if I can have you turn to page, I believe it's 106, you'll find a request to approve the FY25 Local Government Fund Equipment Waiver Program. The equipment waiver program authorizes up to $500,000 for the department to offer to local entities, counties, municipalities that can demonstrate financial hardship. This allows them to purchase through the NMDOT auction surplus equipment that the department would otherwise sell at public auction deemed as ineligible for department use. The 20 entities you have on page 106 have been analyzed by the Department of Finance and Administration, and they are deemed eligible for this program. So therefore, we're asking approval for these entities to participate in the equipment auction next month.
Any comments, any questions from fellow commissioners? If not, what is your recommendation, Mr. Secretary?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, this is a really good subsidy that we provide to these locals, and we met recently with land grants who are really appreciative. This is what makes this equipment affordable for them, so recommend approval.
Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Lundstrom. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tonjes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we have a unanimous for the FY 24-25 Equipment Hardship Waiver Program. Carries unanimously. Thank you. We'll see you in Rio Rancho. The next one. Now we're going to go on to the presentation to request vehicle length. Aaron? And you had given us some information on this at the last meeting too, right?
No, this is
not
the
on this
first
one?
time, Chairman.
Okay.
Chairman Adam, Commissioner, Secretary Serna, good morning. This is a request to restrict vehicle length on New Mexico 159. New Mexico 159 is a corridor situated in Catron County. It's categorized as a minor collector and mostly consists of a single-lane road. The route offers access to the mining town of Mogollon and various recreational sites in the area. During winter, this is the only accessible route. The road is paved for the first 9.5 miles and then becomes a graded roadway. District 1 is requesting to prohibit vehicles over 45 feet from traveling on New Mexico 9 between mile marker 3 and mile marker 9.5. This recommendation is based on a study conducted on this segment of roadway, which identified steep slopes, limited sight distance, horizontal curves, and roadside features. The study was prompted by public concerns regarding large vehicles traveling on New Mexico 159 and the potential for road closures if these vehicles are unable to navigate through this part of the corridor. As per the study, it is recommended to prohibit vehicles over 45 feet on New Mexico 159 between mile marker 3 and mile marker 9.5, and to utilize a pilot vehicle for lengths exceeding 30 feet. This restriction can be implemented with a resolution from the State Transportation Commission as required by NMSA 66-7-415. And this request is supported by Catron County. At this time, no action is required. This item is for discussion purposes only.
Will you be bringing it to us later for
approval.
action?
Yes, sir.
For approval?
Yes, sir. So I attached on your briefing the completed study.
Okay.
It was done. It was completed this past April. It was done by Bohannon Houston. So I just put a little PowerPoint presentation for the commission, just so you guys have a know where this roadway is. So this is, yes, sir.
Hey, so does this cover that horseshoe curve, the milepost that you talked about on this road? Is it covered like that horseshoe curve here? I guess I'm looking at, I don't know where the mileposts are. Can't see them there.
Maybe I have a slide that will show that
Okay.
here in a little bit, Secretary.
Yeah.
Is it all right if I go through and?
Sure.
Okay, so this is our district boundaries, our map of our District 1. The New Mexico 159 is up on the northwest corner. It's in Catron County.
Okay.
On this map, you'll see the proximity to towns. We have Alma right off of US 180, Glenwood right off of US 180. We have Mogollon there, right at the end of the study area. We also have Willow Creek Campground and Snow Lake over on the east. NMDOT has 2 gates that we installed on the east side of Mogollon. These gates are closed during winter due to impassable conditions. So nobody can cross over from the east side of the mountains into Mogollon. So that leaves the first 9.5 miles as their only access in and out during the winter. Our designated route for New Mexico 159 is 26.1 miles. So it starts at US 180 and then it terminates real close to the Willow Creek Campground.
Next slide. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. So this is just this is the actual study area, the highlighted portion. Mogollon, you can see Mogollon there at the end of the study area on the right. There's 138 horizontal curves on this section, steep grades, rock outcroppings, and it essentially becomes a one-lane road after mile marker 4. Go back a little bit. So here's just some pictures to capture some of the stuff I'm talking about. You'll see the curves, the limited sight distance in some of those, the rock outcroppings, and then after Mogollon, the picture on the top right, it's a graded roadway. This is very near where our gate is. This came right out of the study, but I'll summarize it for you guys. We did a crash history. We had 4 accidents from 2017 to 2021. One of them was a wildlife collision. The other 3 crashes were due to oncoming vehicles. This is, I put this one in there just to depict, show you guys the type of vehicles we used when we determined the vehicle length. We used a 30-foot motorhome, a single unit truck, which is total length of 30 feet. We used a semi-trailer with a length of 45.5 feet. And then we used our full-size commercial truck. We modeled those through the corridor just to see which ones would be adequate for our vehicle length. We also did a fire truck and a passenger vehicle towing a boat. So here's the results. I'll start at the bottom. Every dot going horizontally is where each of these vehicles, as we modeled them, had issues on those curves or through the corridor. So the bottom one is our commercial truck. So it really struggled getting through. It failed at some points. our WB40, which is a 45 and a half in length vehicle. It had 4 or 5 points that it struggled as well. The motorhome and the single unit truck, they had one spot, it's a switchback curve that they off-tracked, but they were still able to make it. The fire truck and the passenger vehicle towing a boat had no problems going through this section. Next slide, please. So last year, once we gathered all this information in October, we had a community public meeting. We received a lot of input and a lot of insight that contributed to the study from the public. We had a good turnout. The residents were generally appreciative of the study. Some of their concerns, questions they asked was, if this gets approved, how is it going to be enforced? They were worried about enforcement. So we answered them directly, and we said once we get approval on the resolution, if we get approval on the resolution, we'll send out a letter to law enforcement, and they'll be aware of the restrictions. One of the other concerns that was brought up was some of the navigation systems that are in our vehicles, Google Maps or some of the other ones, and how do we prevent those systems from telling people that they could use the roadway or show that there are restrictions. One of them, Google Maps, we can answer because we have a contact with Google Maps, and we can let them know about that restriction. The other navigation systems we'll have to work on and see what we can do about those. These are the sign face details for the proposed signs that we're going to be installing. And these are the locations where we're going to be installing them. We're going to be installing on the east side. We're going to be installing one near the Willow Creek Campground. On the west side, we're going to be installing these signs near mile marker 4. On both locations, there is ample room for a vehicle to turn around if they have to, if they get to this point. That concludes my presentation. I'll stand for any questions. As discussed earlier, this is for discussion purposes only.
Thank you for your presentation. And my only questions was going to be that if you had your community meetings, because anytime that we do any kind of an impact to a road like this, there's always, they're either for it or they're against it. And so, and then that we had done our traffic studies to make sure that we had everything. I saw there where Bohannon did all this comprehensive study. So it seems like we're on track. And I guess my other question would be, are you planning to present this at the next meeting up in August, or is this all preliminary and we haven't put us, are we still going through the process?
Yeah, actually, yes, Chairman, as soon as we get the resolution, I can present it. So I'll be working with our legal counsel to get that completed. September? Yeah, September works.
Yeah,
and
September, okay.
Yeah, we'll bring it forward to the commission for approval at that point. And just to comment on your comment on the community, the community was divided. You know, there was several people that really were for it. There was a large group for it, and there were few that were not for it. They just, there's different viewpoints. But at the end of the day, I think with Catron County coming in and supporting our project, I think that helped us in the long run.
Well, thank you for bringing it to the commission early, because we always like time to look at it and go through everything and read all the documentation, and so thanks for bringing it instead of like bringing it up at like, you know, right before the next meeting. Fellow commissioners.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, the difficulty with these things is the signs. You know, in Farmington, we did roundabouts on Main Street. We put up signs, total of 7 of them, showing a new truck route, nothing over 45 feet. That didn't work. We ended up with yellow flashing lights across the street. no vehicles over 45 feet, and they still came through it. I guess eventually, you know, some of the online Google Maps and that sort of thing finally started to show that for truck drivers, but it's really difficult. We discovered that people only look for signs when they want to know what to do, not what they're not supposed to do. It is just, it's a really difficult thing to enforce. And it still goes on, where people with a 45-foot truck will decide they're going to do a 90 or a 270 on one of those things.
Yeah.
It just isn't going to happen.
Yeah, and that was one of the biggest concerns for the
Yeah.
community, was the enforcement and following through with that.
I guess make it a little bit worse so that they just can't.
Any other questions, comments?
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation, and Rick, you're gonna be coming up next for.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, are you ready for me to get, wow, that's pretty loud. Ready for me to get started, Mr. Chairman? Yes, sir, I'm here on behalf of David Quintana. This is for information only. Again, we'll probably bring it to September if that'll be okay. But what we're here to do this morning is talk about Commission Policy 91, alternate bidding procedures for pavement type selection. CP 91 is the policy for alternate bidding for pavement type selection on federal aid construction projects when engineering and economic analysis does not indicate a clear choice between different pavement designs. So what this means is during the development process, we would determine whether there is any alternate pavement options out there. So we'd have to study them, look into them, and develop each design separately. At one point in New Mexico DOT's life, there was a time where asphalt was through the roof, and at times we thought that concrete pavements could compete against asphalt. Those times are gone. Asphalt prices have leveled off, and we are well on our way to producing designs that contain asphalt pavement sections. So what we're asking, probably in September, like I mentioned, Mr. Chairman, is that we allow this commission policy to sunset. It'll prevent us from having to develop those designs, whether it be in-house or even through a consultant, which costs is very expensive to do. And so it would eliminate that process entirely. And at any time, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Secretary, that we feel that asphalt prices are again on the increase, we could then introduce it again and make the concrete pavements a competitive alternative to some of these designs. But in the meantime, we would like to save some money, some time in delivering these projects and allowing this commission policy to sunset. That's pretty much it in a nutshell, Mr. Chairman and members. If I'll stand for any questions. Otherwise, we'll put some more information together and we'll produce an action item in September.
Okay, and if you submit it in September, as you get more and more information, if you could get it to us as early as you can, gives us enough time. I mean, we have 2 months, I think, till the next meeting. Fellow commissioners, is there any questions, comments? With that, we appreciate it, Rick.
Great. Mr. Chairman, members, appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, Mallory, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? No, I have a quote for you. Okay, well, hey, no, you gotta go to the podium. Okay, ready? Yeah, see, I knew you'd come through.
Did you hear about the ice cream truck that got into an accident? It hit a rocky road in District 4.
You know what? Come on, come on. How come it couldn't be another district? You should have said District 7 or something. But, thank you, that was a good one. Is there anyone else or any other business to come before this commission? If not, fellow commissioners, what is your pleasure? Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting at approximately 11:43?
I make that motion, Mr. Chair.
I have a motion for Commissioner Lundstrom. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are officially Adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.